First Generation Talks. Dramos here, Radamiz, as usual. We back.
Yes, quick hiatus. You know what I mean?
Quick
But
little
we are here.
mental break, mental hiatus, man. How you been with everything? I haven't talked
Right.
to you in a minute. I feel like.
Yeah, man, I've been good. I think obviously being a soldier, obviously
Yep.
processing and assessing, just kind of like how to move as an artist, as a human being, and honestly, just tending to self, bro. Like you can't. Sometimes you can't take everything so serious. Like,
Yeah.
yo, every day I gotta be building my shit up, and you know what I mean.
Right,
Like
right,
sometimes it really is just like, yo, like these are new times. This is a new place in all of our lives. I think there's more of an optimistic light around things now. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know the pandemic is still a very real thing. I guess like us as a society and a civilization are kind of like agreeing like, all right, we can't do everything 100%, but let's really like do our best with what is in our ability. So, yeah, man, I feel good in that regard for sure. How about you?
Man, I mean, I think it was just like everybody else has been up and down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anybody thought this shit would last as long as it has. You know, so
Yeah,
it's like,
but
it kind of felt like, all right, there's like maybe 2 months or whatever it was of like I'm gonna go hard for the next 2 months and like get shit
hmm
popping and then be back to normal. But then obviously being a human being, you start burning out when you're doing too many things at once
yeah,
and
definitely.
man, just not tending to stuff. And I think I mean you kind of were touching on it too. There isn't like a textbook to this time period we're living in right now. You know what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying? Like there's no real reference point that you can kind of go to
No.
kind of find some comfort in or whatever. It's all just kind of like we're all figuring this shit out as we go along.
Yeah. No, it's been a trip, and I think for me, I mean, it comes with a lot of blessings, and one of them is just the importance to really, like, at least for me, I feel like I've
Mm,
really got to gauge my close relationships.
mm,
You know what I mean? I really got to gauge the bonds that I do have. You know what I mean? The friends that I do have. Like, it's weird when you haven't seen people in months. It's weird when you haven't given people hugs in
yeah.
months or like just chopped it up outside. And I think I don't know. I guess you also kind of have the distance from a lot of the fluff. You know what I mean? Like especially like in the music industry and just like
Hmm.
New York and the arts and just life. You know what I mean? I
Right.
think just life. Like there's a lot of sharing and an exchange of energy on a deeper level than a lot of the times we should be sharing. And it's kind of like I've been glad to like assess like who do I fuck with in my life? You know what I mean? Like who are my people for real? Because those are the bonds that I feel like not I wouldn't say are flourishing because there's lack of connection, like, but
Right.
it's really just shown itself. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
this is who's important, and this is kind of like just for the moment. You know what I mean? And I think that
Yeah.
that's important because we get lost, man. This New York hustle is not easy. This like tri-state hustle, this East Coast like music, like the shit is very rapid, very fast, like and we're often not aware of like how much energy we really are giving out. You know what I mean on so many specific encounters. So
Yeah.
it's cool to just like, these are the people I fuck with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, on the flip side, it's interesting. It really shows you who you don't fuck with. You know what I'm saying? And like who you
Yeah,
shouldn't be
facts.
fucking with. You know?
Yeah,
And
man.
that's the other part. It's like, damn, like it opens your eyes. Especially like you talk about pandemic and separation aside, then you talk about all of
Yeah,
the sort of social issues that are coming to light, and really,
man.
it becoming that people really have to start choosing sides because it is becoming that bad. You start
Yeah.
really seeing like people's true character in that, which is a fucking scary kind of thing as well to kind of have to wrap your brain around.
Yeah, man. Like, and I think for me, I also just I guess one of the most positive aspects of like this whole period is
Mm,
it's not necessarily like, oh, putting in work crazy, but really taking time out to think about what do you want
mm,
outside influences.
mm,
Like I feel like so often, and it's important. Don't get me wrong. Like I think not there's competition in it. I think there's also motivation from your peers.
mm-hmm,
You see people accomplish certain things in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be like great placement look, a great
mm-hmm.
playlist, a great gig, a collaboration. You know what I mean? A purchase or whatever. And that shit is dope because you don't you're not looking at it from a hater blood, from
Right.
like hater in the blood cells. It is motivation. It's very uplifting. but sometimes it can be very distracting because you see a lot of other people's goals being attained, and somehow that gets confused with like, okay, so let me put something up on a board.
Right.
And I don't necessarily even mean on a superficial level. I also just like nourishment of like your life and like where do you want to be. And I think for me, like at first, you know what I'm saying? I think we were all kind of in this period of like hustle, you know, get busy, and everybody done that to a certain extent. But it really started setting in for me, like, man, like what do I want to be in my life? Like, what does success look like for me in a lifetime? What can I do with my time, with my money, with my energy, with my resources, and just like my imagination, you know, tapping into like that God particle where it's like, yo, like, let me really start deciding how I want my life to look. Like, what are my life goals 10 years, 20, 30 years down the line, and start assessing those things. And I feel like I finally like, you know, I meditate, I pray every day, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's like kind of on a deeper level because you don't have so much of the tug and pull with like, all right, you feel like this Monday morning, but now it's time to bam, 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 you know what I mean? Tuesday, the hustle, Wednesday, you're so busy. Like, I'm not as occupied with that mentally. And you got to just like, yeah. Do you feel like, do you feel me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think if what you're saying is also is like making success a very personal relationship, you know what I'm saying, to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that it's also like what I've started to realize is as you get less busy, it's kind of like, well, who am I outside of all of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, who am I outside of, you know, Dramos and anything that is attached to that, you know? And I think for me, one of the biggest realizations that I started to have was that my identity as a human being became so attached to this idea of who I am as opposed to, you know, me myself. Like I don't have a life outside of music. You know what I'm saying? Like I've started to really realize that I, you know, and it's tough because I talked about this on my Instagram a little bit, but once your hobby starts becoming your job, it's a tough thing to kind of start separating that. You know what I'm saying? Because the one thing I used to run to, you know, to clear my head, to ground me, to bring me back to center, to make me feel whole, is now also the thing that I'm forced to do whether I want to do it or not. You know what I'm saying? And that's like it's a tough kind of thing. And then it's like you sacrifice every other aspect of your life to do it because of just the nature of the industry that you're working in. And then quickly you start realizing like, damn, but like, all right, so if all that shit ended tomorrow, what would I be doing on a regular basis? You know what I'm saying? What would my day look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I started seeing now having like the weekends off, which I never had in the past, I don't know, 4 years of my life. And it's like, wait, what do I do with my free time? And like that sudden urge is always like, well, go work on this project. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, but it's like, yo, I kind of just don't feel like doing that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what do you do when you don't feel like doing that? It's like, you got to start establishing yourself as a human again. And that's kind of the phase I'm going through right now is like refining out, you know, who I am at this phase of my life and what I want to do outside of this whole thing and realizing that needs to be a priority as well, you know?
Yeah, man. Damn. That's important. And I feel like that's one of the things that that's one of the realizations that I feel like I'm realizing about hip hop, having a long career and still putting out the music that you love and are moved to make. Like I think for me, I'm learning, let me exit this chasing the tail of like, I need to get some clout. I need a song to like be considered a hit. I need then that leads to my club performances, and that leads to like a big advance, and then I can start doing deals with other people and get it. And like, but then that becomes its own circle. You know what I mean? And I'm
it's
like,
addictive
yo, man,
at the same
like,
time.
It's addictive because it's nice to see your numbers going up. It's nice to see your emails start flooding up. It's nice that your manager's busy every time y'all talk. Now it's like, oh, we have 6, 7, you have all these opportunities or whatever. But I'm also like, yo, like I'm not 35, but I'm not 18 either. So I'm just like, yo, like, okay, I want to create for the rest of my life. I love making music. I love writing. I love that I'm getting better. Like, I feel like I've never been better and I keep just improving, right? So, but how do I not pimp out what I love? How do I financially secure and set myself up in a way where if I don't create, I can still live? And I think for me, that obviously that comes with like an exploration of yourself and just like really sitting down and realize, because that's the thing, like music is something you still love. It's not that stop loving it. It's that for some reason now our material attachment to the world now depends on the success of this thing that you love.
Everything
has
to
very
have
like tricky thing, because it's nice when it blows. Like, of course you love recording, and then every time you're in the studio, the shit is a hit. And
but it's expectation like, you're putting on it.
Exactly. Right? What if that's not always the case? Right. What if you're booking? What if it's like, yo, like, you're just as ill on the ones and twos. Like, you got 2-3 shows a weekend. Like, what if it's like, yo, like, hold on, should drop. Like, I saw this DJ Khaled interview with Drink Champs. I don't know if you saw it, but he said, I'm booked 7 days a week, but I never depend on my show money to feed my family. I'm paraphrasing. But it's like that level of like, how are we setting ourselves up? And I think in hip hop and in the culture in general, that's why I fuck with like Envy using this platform heavy to like just promote real estate, and Charlemagne using this platform heavy to let motherfuckers know like, yo, I'm writing books. I'm an author. You know what I'm saying? Like Jay-Z just now, like, I don't know if you saw the news, like Jay-Z's opened up the Rock Nation School of Music, Business, and Sports. But LIU, like, yo, those are my goals. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've always been my goals, but I think as I mature, I'm like, man, like, nah, that's really it. Because you're liberating yourself from the thing that wakes you up every morning and you're passionate about doing, and having such a responsibility, like having that be so responsible for every aspect of your life, where now you can just create and be pure. That's why I think Jay's able to make a 444 and it be considered one of his best albums of his discography, period. And it's like, he doesn't need that album to pay the rent. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't need that album to, and I'm just like, man, like, that's kind of like, how do we move there? You know what I mean? Because I feel like that keeps the art pure. That keeps the art at a high level. You know what I mean? I feel like that cures our happiness, like these dips in like, self-harm and all of this shit that happens to artists because we're so dependent on like success from music itself. And man, I don't know. I've had time to like process what that looks like for me. You know what I'm saying? And the trip.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy is like what you're talking about though is even just like when you were a kid, the first time writing a rap, you didn't think about it that it was gonna pay your rent one day. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, yo, I want to try this because I'm interested in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you? I think Kyle put out an album.
I just remember somebody has said I don't want to rap to pay the bills, and I remember like I didn't get that. Right, like, what do you mean you don't want to rap? And now it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, you mean you don't want to have to rap for your bills to be paid. Like, but excuse me, I cut you off, bro.
Nah, you're good. I mean, but yeah, because that's like you put this pressure on yourself that automatically becomes a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no freedom anymore. But Kyle put out an album. He was talking about this where he actually like, and the whole theme of it is ill because he kind of goes back to when he was in high school, and the name of the album I think is like "See You When I'm Famous," and that was the quote in his high school yearbook. So he talks about he spent the last like year, whatever it was, like disconnected from social media, and he wanted to go refine that kid in high school who was just like out there making music that he loved doing and wasn't chasing a commercial record or any of those things. And it's just this concept. Like I found myself even kind of doing that recently, where I went back to really super old like social media posts from when I first started DJing, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, like how dope was this back then? Like I remember like those nights exactly. Like I didn't get paid, or there was 5 people there, or whatever. But I was so excited to be doing it, you know. And yeah, just trying to like refine that same kid that was there, that was just so excited to just fucking go out there and do whatever, and didn't care about lugging around speakers and subs into like frat basements to go DJ a party or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and wasn't getting paid to do so, but loved every second of it. Like, how do you reconnect to that kid almost? You know what I'm saying? Like that real passion that lies within you.
Damn, man. Yeah, man. I think that just comes with, honestly, just like maturing as an artist. Like if you realize like artists, at least the ones that, I only look at who I deem as like who that had a big significance and high on their list is longevity. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like if I fall out of music tomorrow, bro, then peace. Like I can't, but I love it. I keep loving it. So it's like, all right, well then, we're focused. I'm a ride with it. And then so I look at those artists, and that is normally what happens. You know what I mean? There is a pause button, and they just reassess. They're not quick to make every type of action, and they don't take every opportunity to like speak out and create and use their platform for. You know what I'm saying? It's a very diverse. It's like Rihanna, for example. Like Rihanna probably really needed to go do Fenty for a minute. You know what I mean? Because it's like, like Rihanna has been in a center of attention since she was like 15 years old, and has always she didn't really start low. She coasted high. She came in the game high, and it just got higher. But she already came in at a level where a lot of people aren't at to this day. You know what I'm saying? That are popping. Like they're not Rihanna at 15, 16 years old. So I look at her like in her 30s or something like that, and she's like, man, like you just see the maturation of her. You see the maturation of how she uses a platform. You see the maturation of how she uses her light, what she chooses to shine light on. You know what I mean? Obviously through Fenty, you have she's able to just like expand the narrative of the Black woman, the Black businesswoman, just like and make in beauty, redefine like the beauty aesthetics and what is considered beauty. You know what I'm saying? It's something that in a culture that has for a long time been marginalized and limited, and like how is expressed or very, you know what I mean? Not as encompassing of like the full picture. And then she goes and she's a powerhouse in it, and she's like destroying the game. You know what I'm saying? And makeup and clothing and everything. And it's like the whole time everyone's just like, yo, where's the album? Where's the album? Where's the album? And I'm like, yo, like I bet you whether the album is good or not, right? Because I'm not gonna expect whatever the case. Rihanna's dope, but whether the album is good or not, I bet you she's happy by the time she releases it.
Right. Well, you can tell by the way she responds to it. Like the way she responds, you'll be asking her, "Where's the album? Where's the album?" She's like, "Listen, you're gonna get it when you get it." That's like, you know what I'm saying?
That's when you get it.
Like, that's a level of freedom where it's like, yo, the world is asking you, "Where's the music at?" And you're just like, "Listen, when it's done, it's done. I'm not in any rush to put this out there."
And I think that is so important because Rihanna, you can tell, loves entertaining. Like I mean, this can just be my perspective, but I personally don't believe that she gets the full nourishment of life running Fenty. I know through it, the models, the opportunities, the people she gets to work with, whatever, of course you do. But you could just look at her, like she's an entertainer. But it's like, man, like she found a way to liberate the pressure that takes, you know what I'm saying? And is able to like, yo, let me sit back, let me make what I want to make, let me go handle all this other shit, you know what I'm saying, in my life, and like set myself up so I can actually love what I do, love what I make, you know what I mean? And look at like Beyonce, like Black is King now, like Beyonce takes time and just dips off, but then this is what she chooses to emerge with and break through with, and she's been in the game decades, bro. Like I don't know, man. I think sometimes it's just a perspective thing. Like I said, like
that's all, bro. Life is perspective, man.
Like what you want to see. So I feel like because I'm on that route, that's all I'm being. Like I'm just seeing life through that. Like yo, look at them. They're doing it right. You know what I mean? And, yeah, man. I want to be an artist and be happy for the rest of my life too,
bro. But it's even like because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, it's fucking Beyonce, it's Rihanna. That's why they can do that." But like to me, even like our conversation with Andy Mineo, where he was just like, "Yo, like I left New York, I bought some houses in Atlanta, and now I don't have to pay rent." It's like, bro, like just the ease of never having to pay rent again. Like that's the ultimate freedom right there, where it's like, yo, like I can wake up when I want to wake up and I just create, and I know like my shit is taken care of for the most part, you know what I'm saying? That's like the ultimate burden. You're talking about being lifted off your shoulders, like that's dope right there. And that's on a smaller level obviously than a Beyonce or Rihanna, but it still is that freedom that we're talking about. It's still that same you know feeling that you have of like the pressure being relieved of you to a certain degree, you know. That's like the beauty of it all.
Right. No, it's a trip, man. But it's also kind of tough because in your position, you know, you're in the radio business, you're in the DJ business. It's like that's a way different game. Because like for me, for example, like for the past couple of months, it hasn't been so like I've made music and I've written, but a lot of the time, honestly, it's just been like mentally. And then when it's time to hit the studio, then I'm like, oh shit, I'm on point, because I kind of gave myself time to just like live. Detach myself from what I've made already, give myself space, reanalyze where I want to go next. So I feel like I'm tapping into like that source energy again. But like for people in the DJ hustle, for people on the playing music and live and obviously like the Breakfast Club stuff on top of that, like I also very much so understand like, damn, you know what I mean? Like it's even more of a constant barrage of like the need to just be on point and display yourself. And you have this new show now on the channel, you know what I'm saying, with the station, like you like gunning the shit by yourself again. So it's like your responsibilities are also rising. You know what I mean? Like that's
it's crazy though, because it's almost, it also is a part of me, I guess, because I have the utmost confidence in myself of being able to pull myself out of any situation. To a degree, bro, when this whole thing happened, I was like, I was like, yo, if I got laid off, I would move back home, my parents' basement, and suck it up, and I would just start over. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and as crazy as that probably sounds to a lot of people, it's also just kind of like there is also that's that level of freedom again, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and that might be to the extreme. And I've heard people like Gary Vee talk about this, that he's like, you know, almost secretly wishes that he went down to zero again so he can rebuild it back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but I think it is that level to like freely create and do whatever the fuck you want to do without the pressures of it all. You know what I'm saying? But so yeah, there is this weird pressure that comes along with it, with being at like the Breakfast Club and all these different things. But I also think, I mean, one thing I'm also grappling with is this feeling of I've hit my ceiling to a degree as well, because it's like, how many times can I just keep churning out these ideas? How many times can I go in there and do what I do every day? And it becomes Groundhog Day eventually. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, obviously you can create a new idea, a new concept, a new show, whatever the case may be. But once you're over that initial excitement of creating it, and now it becomes the everyday norm for you, you know, and as crazy as it might seem for some people, like, damn, how do you do this every day? Blah, 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 blah. It does become normal. Like, we as humans adjust to everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, Charlemagne and Envy and all them, like, as much as I respect their greatness, to me, they're just people I work with now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't look at them in the same light.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Right. And that's not taking anything away from it. It's just saying that eventually they become your coworkers. You're there around them every single day. You have your banter that you have. It humanizes them. So there is like this sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, all this starts becoming normal. Now it's also, I can't remember, it was in a book I was reading, but it was also just like, all right, well, if you've hit that ceiling, it's time to a re-education process needs to happen. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, once you hit that ceiling, everything becomes kind of super easy, where you can pick and choose little things, and it sounds like you know what you're talking about to a degree. Now it's like the time you really got to just start diving into other things and challenging yourself to like relearn, as if you were that kid who was like, you know, 18 years old walking into this industry for the first time. And not necessarily just the music industry, but it's like I have to force myself to like really fucking just deep dive into any of these interests that I'm having right now and just see what the hell comes out. Because, you know, I think for me personally, if I'm being honest, I've probably ridden the coattails of like my ability to easily adjust to situations and pick things up. And at this point, and now it's like, if you really want to hit that next threshold, you're really gonna have to go back in there and deep dive into like, I don't know how the fucking everything works and where you want it to be, and start becoming an expert in something. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just being somebody that's really good at things. It's a weird kind of concept I'm like grappling with right now, but I also think that it comes as you level up in life. You know what I mean? Where you're gonna hit that point where
life will react to you. You know what I think? I think where you're at right now, you have to, and that's the tough part about being in situations like this. And I think it's kind of like what I was talking about before, with just assessing where I'm at in my life. Like I think it does take time. One, like you said, pause. Where am I at? How am I living? How even this thing that is successful, like it's like why they say you can't even take compliments.
Right.
You can't even accept compliments. It doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying, like you're rejecting good. It means sometimes you can get very comfortable in what you're consistently being celebrated over, and that's not going to challenge you to level up. You know what I mean? So if everyone's just hyped about where you're at, you're at Power 105, you have your own show, boy, Dramos, you're lit. What are you talking about? It's like, wait, that's a hazardous space too. But I do think, you know, what you just said is very healthy. You know what I mean? Like this constant, this need to like, reassess and rebuild, restructure where you're at, and surviving and being able to adjust to moments on the fly, I think is like a skill that I don't think should be tossed away as like, oh, I've been able to do that, so now it's time. Like that's a lot of people do not know how to react in the split moment. You know what I mean? A lot of people do not. That's like survivor's instinct. That's like a hunter. You know what I mean? Like making sure the prey doesn't get them. Like that's very, very important. But I do think as you challenge yourself to open up your imagination, because that's what it is a lot of the times too. Sometimes our imaginations are where you said, I'm interested in these things, and now it's time to deep dive and learn about them more. I co-interpreted that as, let me open up my imagination to who I'm supposed to be in all of this. You know what I mean? Because you want to nourish yourself, that means that's going to transform you. Like if you end up getting into the political business, let's say the real estate business and the politics around like, residents of like a county or whatever the case, like that, the universe and God is going to now give you politicians who work in real estate. They're going to give you laborers. You're going to find out about all these laws. You're going to find out about, you know what I mean? Like lobbyists for or against and now those are going to be your conversations. And I think that's important, man. You know, it's important, but it's important to also know that it's not only your job to do. Like God will do it. The universe will do it. The energies around will do it. Like as you are reconstructing who you are in your imagination, like I feel like every time I feel like that's one of the things that I need to just get better at myself too, like knowing that, because a lot of the times it really is instant. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times, like even if it's a false hope thing, let's say you just thought about it and then you get this random opportunity for email, maybe it falls through, but you're like, oh wait, nah, it popped up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not getting discouraged through that, but it does take time to like, and it's hard to reimagine who you are because you've survived using who you've made yourself to be. You know what I'm saying? Like you've survived through all of this. It's like recently I was in the Hamptons just because it was we're in the middle of fucking quarantine, and I've always been able to, and we have like, it was like a deep ass like 12-foot pool. Not deep, but like a 12-foot pool or something like that. And I'm always been like, yo, I can swim, like, but I never could float. I would always say like, yo, I can't float though. I don't know how to, I can just stroke, and I was good with that. Like I go into the beach, I go into whatever pool, that is killing it. And I had to, I don't know if you know how to swim or if you've been around like
I can basically do that same shit, the stroke.
Bro, so, I'm there and I'm like, fuck, like, and my girl's like pressuring me, like, yo, man, like, now you have to, and my sister's there, my god sister, they're just like, yo, like, just have faith, like, and it was the first time I ever did it, but that shit is scary because you can't touch the bottom of the floor. You don't know what the bottom of the pool feels like. I've always been used to, I'm standing and I can go. It doesn't matter how deep it is, but I had to really just like, yo, and what I learned was, and it's that thing that you saw, like, it's like I decided I was not going to die. It sounds crazy, right? But it's like no, I'm gonna jump into this pool that is, and the deepest end that is twice my height. And what you basically tap into is you will not let yourself die. You will not let yourself drown. You will use your body however it needs. So you already know how to swim. It's like they say infants know how to swim. Like what you think is crawling for babies is and what infants doing is actually can be used as like a motor skill in the water.
Right. Instincts.
And then it's like just trusting that. Like, yo, I decided I'm not gonna die. I decided I will be a survivor today. You know what I mean? I will be a swimmer at the end of all of this shit. And you do. And the more and more I did that, and at first, don't get me wrong, like one time I definitely like bugged the fuck out, forgot how to swim, shit like that. But I didn't die. Here. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the small moments like that, where you use your imagination and it becomes true. It's like that exact same visualization of your success is important. It is just as resonates just as much in like the big things in life. But then you have to kind of decide what it is that you want to look at, or at least like the area, or like at least the feeling and the position of where you want to be in life. Like, you know,
I mean, it's challenging yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think
it's crazy.
It's like,
and I've had a fear of swimming and drowning since I was a baby. Like I drowned like I almost drowned 2-3 times when I was young, and then this summer, that's one of the things I did this year. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's saying 2020 is ass. It's like, yo, I learned how I didn't drown. You know what I mean? Like I learned how to float. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's growth, bro. Like growth isn't always just fucking like leveled up in your career or reading a book or some shit. It's also just like overcoming little dumb things in your life as well that like you felt like were holding you back, or being more well-rounded, bro. Like anything you can become more well-rounded in, whether it's fucking Italian cuisine that who knows when you're ever going to need to know a lot about it. But it's like one day you might get into a convo and you're going to feel pretty good about yourself when you can like tell people like, yo, this is what fettuccine is and this is what this shit is. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that even if it's just something subtle like that, that still is just like confidence booster. It's like the ability of knowing you can walk into a room and really have a real discussion with people and not be, you know, out of your league. And even when you are out of your league, it's still a plus too. Like I interviewed Richie Torres, who just got elected to Congress in New York. And it was the first time like I felt like, damn, like I really like this guy really just ran circles around me in this interview. And when it was over, I was like, damn, I was like bummed. I was mad at myself. I was like, I let kind of him steer the conversation and do what he does as a politician. But then also it was just kind of lit this fire like, bro, all right. Now I'm like buying up every book on certain political topics, and I'm like, I'm challenging myself. Like that's not going to happen to me again. You know what I'm saying? Like the days of me being able to articulate politics in with the casual knowledge that I have is not going to be good enough anymore. It has to be deeper now. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be able to just talk about racism from a skin deep thing. I want to actually know about like the systemic, you know, things behind it. I want to know about the history so I can really have a real valued opinion. Exactly, bro. Especially in like in today's social media era, I think it's more important than ever because it's like you're getting hit with so many things left and right. It's like, bro, I don't know who's who, what is what at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like both sides can make good points on certain things. you know what I mean? Where it can really make you kind of sit back and be like, fuck, is everything that I've ever believed in wrong? You know what I'm saying? And that to me is started to drive me like, all right, well, that's the education process that needs to happen. Like, you need to put yourself in a position that you're never going to be able to doubt who you are and the things that you believe in, and that that, you know, you're coming from like a really grounded place of like concrete facts and knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's important. But I think it's also ill that you're looking at it like that, because one, it's like normal to feel like bummed after, like, I guess not your expectation. I don't want to say your expectation wasn't met, but you didn't know that there was going to be that much of a power shift, I guess. And
right.
It's like they say, like, the difference between winners and losers isn't that losers lose. It's that winners lose, but they are inspired by them to win next time. And losers lose, they are demotivated. So it's like one of those things where, like, maybe that was very important. That was in a very important moment, actually, for you to have, for that to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? You needed to kind of check your knowledge. You needed to kind of check like what you've been able to co-sign but I also blame in a way social media too. It's like sometimes like I'll get shown a video by whoever's next to me, whatever, and it's like, and let's say I don't know the full topic, but they'll show me, you know, the Instagram account that uploaded the 30-second or the minute version or the 2-minute version. Sometimes I'll be like, yo, like, actually, no, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to take a break and let's go watch the full 30 minutes.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just about these small tidbits, even as big as like the actual 1 minute, 2 minute chopped off clip is. It's like, nah, this is a full conversation, this is a full talk, this is a full interview, this is a full documentary that they just took a snapshot of. And it's like, no, dive into that. You know, don't just repost a quote from the book. Like, go actually cop the book and read a couple chapters if you need to. You know what I mean? Like, it's and that's good too. It's like you're detaching yourself also from the way we also kind of like fed information at this point. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like Twitter connected tweets and like Instagram IGTVs of like legendary people talking for a minute, and it's like, yo, like, that's not enough, man. You know what I mean? Right. You gotta sit with that bitch for a couple of hours and really like soak in what's happening. So man,
I mean, and it's like what you said,
and it's just gonna make you that much stronger in your field, bro. Like, that's gonna, like, what you're already curious about is going to set you apart from most people doing it. You know what I'm saying? Most people in media, most people in radio, most personalities on the mic, like, a lot of the times, like, you need that balance of, like, sometimes you need, that's why I feel like that's why a lot of people like talking to Joe Rogan. It's like, Joe Rogan has that balance of like, yo, I'll let you talk for a minute, but if it's time for me to take the wheel and challenge your thought, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't just challenge your thought for the sake of challenging. Like, he has facts that contrast what you have to say. So now you really got to like step it up. You know what I'm saying? And that's and I'm sure he went through something of like what you're talking about now. You know what I mean? Where it's time to go study the fuck up, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because it's also like, if you talk specifically what we're going through right now, where I remember some people would hit me with like, if we're talking politics, like, all right, well, why is it that I think it was like 25% of the Hispanic population voted for Trump, let's say, you know what I'm saying? And it was easy for me to say, oh, well, they're just misinformed at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my easy answer. But then as you kind of really start diving into it, I'm like, well, why is it? There has to be real reasoning behind it. There has to be real logic. I was watching this thing on Vice, and it was talking about, it was focusing in Miami and a lot of these like conservative Hispanic political groups. And it was talking about Cubans and things like that. And when you dive into their history from where they come from, you can see why they lean the way that they do. You know what I'm saying? It's based upon the effects of like Castro, and when they hear the word socialism, that's what they were sold when Castro was getting elected. You know what I'm saying? So like, they don't want anything to do with that. So to them, like, that destroys the country. So when you hear a Bernie Sanders talk about that, when you hear an AOC use the word socialism, to them it's Castro, you know? And like, now you get it. And like, I don't agree with it, but also at the same time, I'm never going to no longer give that like uneducated response. Well, oh, they're just a informed group of Hispanics. Like, nah, like, this is their reasoning behind it. While I don't agree with it, I do get it. Like, there is some sort of logic behind it, you know?
Yeah. Well, you need to be able, but that's wisdom though. Wisdom is like, I can understand what I don't agree with. Right. I can critique what I don't mirror an opinion, but I can actually see it at its source. And that's very deep. You know what I'm saying? That's deep spiritually too. You know what I'm saying? That's like forgiveness. That's for like, yo, like, I hate that you did this to me, but let me put myself in your shoes, see where you came from with things. And it's like, yo, like, let me now relinquish my negative energy towards that. And it's like you said, like, it's not that they are misinformed. It's that their information, like, to you it's misinformed, to them, no, they are very informed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As to what's going on. But like, that's the vastness of life, bro. That's the vastness of life. And that's what we need more of anyway. We don't need people who are judging others for like thinking like beside them. It's actually more entertaining, more nourishing to like the mind and the soul to speak to people who don't agree with you at all, because then you get to really see who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you even say like it's like a whatever, I don't know what the word you just used, but like enlightenment or wisdom, you know what I'm saying? But because I didn't even think of that in that way. To me, it's just like, all right, cool. I'm just more informed and I feel like smarter about it. You know what I'm saying? But like when you think about it, you know what I'm saying? Like in a deeper way, it's like, you know what, bro? Like I am growing. You know what I'm saying? I am finding wisdom in this kind of in this whole situation that's happening. It's like, and the education process is working. Like that 20 minutes I took to watch that video to process it and not just like shun it away as like, oh, fuck these guys, I'm not gonna watch it because I disagree with them. Now it's like, you know, I've opened myself up to have a real conversation with people, or to just like pass along that information when people maybe have a question and like, you know, you might be the only Hispanic in the room and they're kind of curious about that. You know what I'm saying? Now, because at the same time, that's also like the burden we carry and the responsibility we also carry. Just I think as being outspoken people, we put ourselves in that position, and we do have to be able to answer those questions when asked. You know what I'm saying? So like, it also is I guess another level of like accountability to a degree, right? It's like,
don't you think that's like the illest type of person? Like, yo, like I'm secure in myself. I'm aware of like what surrounds me. I'm aware of the relationship I have with it, whether I agree with it or not. But now it's like now you're kind of responsible for like peace. Yeah, you're kind of responsible for like meiosis things. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like, wait, it's on me to just be the cool. It's like they say, like, what better person there is to be than in the middle of a tragedy, you are the one that people can count on. Like, what better like in the middle of a big death, in the middle of a big travesty, like people can look to you and be like, oh, but this person I can like see my way through.
Imagine if our communities had more people like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if like with all the craziness we're seeing in Chicago and things like that. Like, what if there were more people sprinkled in those communities that like thought that way? Like yo, like you know, you guys are thinking small picture. We have to start thinking about the big picture of all of us. And there was a bunch of people who started thinking like that. Like they could pass that knowledge on to other people and maybe change their thought process and realize just how valuable, you know, each person's life is and how important it is to protect one another. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you talk about everything we've seen with people of color where it's like, you know, we are to a degree at war with the outside world, but then also we are at war with each other. And there's not enough of these people trying to like spread that message, like being the intelligent representative for them and then trying to create other people like that as well within the community, you know?
Right. Because it's not about chastising and rejecting somebody else's. It's like what you said is very important. It's not about chastising and rejecting somebody else's perspective and somebody else's lifestyle. It's having the distance between you, like, because that doesn't mean your identity is fragmented. That doesn't mean that your beliefs are somehow flawed. Is that you have the capacity to put your feet into another person's shoes. It's like that clip I saw a couple of weeks ago with Meek Mill speaking to a reporter, and he was speaking to him basically about just like gun violence in like the city. For Meek Mill obviously was Philly. He's like, man, like if you saw your cousin get shot up and your best friend get shot up and this person got bullet holes and you wake up every morning and somebody's getting shot and you're 13, 14, and you're getting picked on and you see they're carried. I'm paraphrasing, but and at some point, wouldn't you, if you see 5 people that you know die a week, would you carry a gun? And the reporter, you know what I'm saying, this Anderson Cooper looking man, like I probably would. Right. And it's like, why aren't we tapping into that? Why aren't we tapping into like in the hoods, like in
you can see the light bulb flip in his head too, not to cut you off, but like when Meek said that, the light like boom, it was like you saw it on his face, like oh shit, I never thought of that before.
I've never processed what this person, what conditions have to occur for like we said, somebody to tap into what they need to do to survive. Like a lot of things are survivors' instincts. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we see in Chicago. That's what we see in New York. That's what we see in Philly. That's what we see in all of these neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Where gun violence is like really rampant, and you have politics and people who misuse music. You know what I'm saying? And misuse news and misuse all of this shit, and just like completely cast away like the conditions that had to exist for that to be the necessary decision. You know what I mean? Like that's like, and yeah, man, like I feel like you're just gonna become that much more of a leader. You know what I mean? Like, and I think even just sometimes it's just in the smallest interactions. Like it may not even reflect into what you do on camera. It may not even reflect into what music you decide to play. It may just reflect on how you carry yourself as a man outside. And I think that speaks volume. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I guess to sum it kind of all up, it's like, it's just growth, man. It's just challenging yourself to be more informed. And like, that's where the growth happens. And it's all these little things that you don't even realize will lead you to being in just a better place and being able to interpret information better. And even like you talk about that, where it's like, you can look at the news and see the gun violence and your first instinct is to be angry and be like, man, these people need to get it together. And then your education kicks in and you're just like, you know what, though? They're in a situation that they're not sure how to get out of. And that's what is creating this whole thing. It's the system that created it. And I can now look at it from bigger than just the people committing those crimes to now realizing that it, and, kind of, I guess, reaffirming my belief that it's the system that created, all these events that are happening right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's like a relief right there where you don't have to sit there and look at it from a place of anger. It's like you're looking at the bigger picture of all,
Mm-hmm. And then you're actually resolution minded. Now you actually, at least you have a better idea on how to resolve it instead of like complain and be justified because you're right. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just talk and I'm mad. And the person's like, I get why you're mad. And they're like, all right. And it's like, wait, like, no, that's not what we need. I want to feel happy. Let's get to what do I need to do to, you know what I mean? Address
it's like a bullshit fight you have with your girl, and it's like that's not really even what the fight is about. It's about something bigger than that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Let's actually get to the thing. Like, I don't want to have to do this 10 times, and it's actually the same core problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's a trick. Yeah, but sometimes my girl would be next to me, bro, and I'm just listening to music, and she's like hating it, and I'm like, and then she's like, yo, can you turn? I'm like, yo, I'm not enjoying this either, but I want to at least see where the artist is coming from. Yo, real shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying, like, whatever, I'm not talking about hip hop. I'm saying like any genre, whatever time period. I'm like, if it stumbles across, and I'm like, you know what? I have the capacity today. Let me think about what the artist wanted to do. And even if I play 5-6 songs and don't fuck with it at the end of the day, still, I'm like, at least I took the time to try to understand somebody else's take on shit. So.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's good to like all these little things, man. I think just being a better conversationalist and a more rounded conversationalist, bro, you can make a huge impact. You don't even realize it. Even we're talking these very subtle kind of things, but like your ability to interact with people who are very different than what you maybe grew up around or what you knew, like that's huge. As a human being, that's just a huge kind of thing. And like that might make somebody might have had a stereotype about Dominicans, and like the way you're able to articulate things and be intellectual will change their perception of Dominicans forever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's already happened, and that's already happened. And I think that's our job. Obviously, like I'm like spiritual in the world, so they still say like the Bible is an oral thing. Like faith is an oral thing. The word first was the word, and the word was God. You know what I mean? So, but then I also look at it, and I'm like, for me to be an artist, you know what I'm saying? Like I remember. The earliest memory I can remember of like, oh, that's probably going to lead to you being an MC, even though it wasn't at the moment, was like me memorizing a book in like 4th grade, and I was in like a citywide competition, and we had to memorize the book and then perform it in front of people and shit.
Right.
And I was like, why was I picked for that? Like, I don't remember any interesting characteristics or like, you know what I'm saying, identity traits of mine in preschool and in public, and you know what I'm saying, in grade school. But for some reason I was there, and you know what I mean? And I think I've always looked at life, and the way I've always like been groomed, I think by my experiences has always been like, this is you and this is all of these other lives. And everybody's lifestyle makes sense for some reason to them, like their mistakes, you know what I'm saying? The negative patterns that they're in or the positive patterns that they're in, how they failed and how they succeeded, like how they've survived, how they passed away, like, but the predicaments that they were all in all make complete sense. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like all of it makes complete sense. But it's like how but it takes a minute to like process that. It takes a minute to just remove yourself. And for me as an artist, I think that's important. You know what I'm saying? Like it's important to be definitely like self-contained and know what your opinions are and your messaging, but I think you have to also know that you're speaking to an audience. It's like a DJ. Like, it doesn't matter what your taste of the music songs are. Right. If you're playing at 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning, and you want to throw on you know what I'm saying? You want to throw on this joint, but you see nobody's reacting, and you keep hitting them with that. You got to reassess. You're still tapping into what you know. Don't get it twisted. But maybe Saturday you were really feeling Lil Jon. You know what I'm saying? And then you hitting them with the Lil Jon, and they're like, yo, like, I'm trying to hear Selena and Jennifer Lopez, and you gotta like fuck, all right, I'm not in the mood for it, but I know
Right.
this joint, and it's the exact same thing to me. I feel like when I'm writing and when I'm projecting, it's like, yo, I'm definitely being an individual, and I'm definitely pulling from who I am, but I'm definitely keeping in mind, you know, their lives just as complex as mine. You know what I'm saying? And,
I mean, it makes great. What,
that
like
makes me a better writer. You know?
Exactly. That's what I say. It's a better. You're becoming a better artist. I mean, how dope is like a record like Jordan Lucas, like the "I'm Not Racist" record, like
exactly.
where he's each verse is a different perspective, and you know, and he's just really going at it from an understanding of where that person's coming from and this and that, bro. Like, and that's what makes that shit so powerful. That's what makes it so moving, because you're just like, damn, like he just
when it came out, it just shut everything down. Yeah,
right. Like he just humanized white supremacy for you to kind of sit back and be like, damn, like I don't agree with it, but this person really feels justified as I feel about my stance as they do about theirs. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't make it right, but it is interesting, I guess, to just open your eyes that humans can be conditioned to become anything and believe anything, you know what I'm saying? And be faithfully believing in that kind of thing. And like, and that's also leads to when you have conversations where, like, you know how it's sometimes easy to lose your patience with certain things, but it's like, bro, like you when you have that kind of understanding, you can just be calm and knowing that they feel passionately about this, you know what I'm saying? Because of their own experiences, their own beliefs, whatever the case may be. So the way that I'm unwilling to budge on my feeling, I have to also understand that they are feeling just as justified in this moment. As wrong as I think it is, I also have to understand that, you know, at this point, like, it's okay to disagree, because you realize you get to a point where, you know, we're both just in different places mentally, whatever the case may be. And it's just understanding, not to say you're condoning behavior, whatever the case may be, but it just gives you this extra level that nobody else kind of, most people probably don't have. That I don't have to lose my cool, because, at the end of the day, I'm just understanding everybody. I'm understanding humans are humans, and they're going to believe what they believe based upon experiences.
And you don't have to change people's minds, bro.
Right. It's not for us to change that.
You may, but you might. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's like for me, I mean, just to self-plug, like, that's basically what my new song, I don't know if you got a chance to check it out yet, Gratitude is Gangsta.
Yeah,
that's what that's about. That's what that is about to me. Like, in the hook, you have gratitude is gangsta and the killers is pussy. And then right after, gratitude is gangsta and the killer's forgiven. Right. And then in the second verse, he got slain at 17, I am here forgiving the shooter. Like, it's like, for me, like, I'm not typecasting people who murder people. I'm speaking specifically from the emotion of when you lose someone. Right. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, all right, I'm wise enough to know. It's like, I'm wise enough to know that person's already forgiven to me in the eyes of God, right? But the act of it. Now, what needs to be resolved are, what are the conditions that leads a person to murder someone? You know what I'm saying? Where is the ego lie? What are the friend groups like? What is the socioeconomic status? Where's the love? Where's the family? What kind of knowledge? Who are their OGs? Who is bringing them up? Who are the influences of all of the things that lead a human being to take another person's life? Like, the act itself is already forgiven. You know what I'm saying? To me, because it's already proof that there's a disconnection from life. Like, the act of murder is already proof that at that instant, you are disconnected from the entirety of the world, from the entirety, to me, of like God's love. You know what I'm saying? But now that is forgiven. Now, on the human level, what do we do? On the human level, I have to feel better. So now I'm like, I come from this very passionate, damn, like, you almost demonize, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes the other person is just as young. They're 17, they're 16. Like, I grew up around that, and we're surrounded by people who experience this to this day. Like, look at how many artists also are just like being murdered. You know what I'm saying? Like Pop Smoke, like, just like you know what I'm saying? Like Duck yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, damn, like, what is so real that is happening in these streets? That and how are we not mobilize, not like enabling it, but like, what are we doing to, like, how much are we actually doing as a society, as a culture, to disable that?
Well, what's creating human construct? You know what I'm saying?
Not only disable what needs to exist for that to be justified, but also the lack of forgiveness on the person who's hurt. That's why I wrote the song. Like, it sounds crazy when I say that killers is pussy. Oh, no, the killer's forgiven. I had to talk to a mirror. You know what I'm saying? I had to walk when I could. It's like, yo, like, upon myself, I have to take these steps that feel difficult to understand, because it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? And then I have another song, 2 songs later on the project, where it's like the same thing, but from a mother's perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? Lost a child to senseless violence, but found forgiveness. It's the same. It's just like, yo, but like, from every angle, how do we, You know what I'm saying? Like find the soldiers in this and the changes of thought, but also how do we not retaliate and just like respond with what hurt us already? You know what I mean? And like that's kind of like that joint. You know what I mean? And it speaks on all of this because I take that very serious. You know what I'm saying? Like how do I not just regurgitate what I know I don't like? You know?
No, and I love it, and it's interesting too because a lot of what you're saying is also these are human constructs. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it that you know somebody with a gun is considered tough? You know what I'm saying? Why is it that we're willing to save up, you know, whatever it is to buy this expensive off-white piece to let our bank account go back down to zero, but we're still cool with doing that? You know what I'm saying? All of this shit is like, why is it that stuff is normal to us? Why is it that became a human construct? And a gun became a human construct of power. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that why is it that you're devaluing somebody else's life so much that you're willing to kill them to be able to rob them of something? You know what I'm saying? And why? Because that person's finding justification in it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the reality of it. That's why you could talk about when people are like, oh well, you know, it's a controversial thing to say about something. Oh, I pray for the killers too. But the reality is they do need prayer because something in their minds was so off that they were like, you know what? It was worth it breaking into Pop Smoke's house, killing that man and robbing him because for whatever reason they were doing it for was worth it to them. You know what I'm saying?
And like, there's no remorse. And at least it's being portrayed as like lack of remorse. And I'm like, man, like that person needs love. You know what I mean? Like that person needs love. Like I know there are a ton of people who would love to return the favor. I know that there are a ton of people who would love to like, you know, find their redemption. But I'm like, man, like stepping away from the specific incidents, like I don't want shit like that to keep happening in this world, period. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't look at it like I look at like I got joints like that doesn't like I got the joints. So I was like, yo, I don't gotta have a gun to be gangster. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have to. It's like even the last couple of bars on Gratitude is Gangster, right? Because it's also society. We enable it. We promote it. We monetize it. We succeed off of it. I say, I'm the hands of the pastor that's praying over Tekashi, which is the Breakfast Club thing. That's when the pastor was over there. I'm the hands of the pastor that's praying over Tekashi. Remove the kamikaze of wilding and monetizing the violence for paparazzi. The millionaires I looked up to rarely let off a shotty. I hope they all get second chances and provide for their families. And if I fuck up in public, I need assumption in my favor and there's space to fix my ways up. The last part is cancel culture. That's like we're so quick to just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh no, that's it. No, you made a mistake. You're a human being. You're flawed. Like you can't be saved. This is never coming back. And don't get me wrong. Like some people's mistakes are way worse than others. Like, you know, and some people don't have any intention to change. But the first part, it's like everybody just talks about 6ix9ine snitching, blood in New York, Brooklyn, gang culture. You know what I'm saying? Mistrust. Keep fronting the whole time. Clown. And I'm just like, yo, the problem is that he put a red flag on and everything popped. You know what I'm saying? The problem is that he started putting hits on people and being gangster and showing a lot of people really living that life, really in that lifestyle, really surviving on a day-to-day basis. And his videos being promoted and the world ate it up. The world made his songs big. The world gave him plaques. The world gave him sold out shows. The world gave him attention. TMZ put him on every time they could. Every news, all the rappers dissed him. Everybody loved him. Yeah, because that's love. Attention is love. Don't get it twisted. Absolutely. Attention is not hate.
If you love to hate him, you still love it. You're still loving to do something involved them.
You completely love it because whatever you dislike, you treat as if it like it's like they say. There's nothing worse than being lonely. It's like Kanye said, like I'd rather them say anything than not say anything at all. Like it's true. So it's like we enable that as a culture. And I saw 6ix9ine come up. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw him with his old rap groups. I saw he was always wild. He has songs with Bodega Bands. He has songs with people from Pro Era. He has songs with mad people that nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? Not nobody because they have numbers, but not to the extent. But when he put on the red flag, and burned on chocolate, and now we all glorified it. And then it leads to what we generally assumed it would lead to. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like the life catches up to the propaganda, the life catches up to the commercial, and shit becomes really real for people. And so I blame society. You know what I'm saying? I blame because if you put on the red flag and everybody guns and Gummo didn't do nothing, I bet you something else would have, you know what I'm saying? Like, something else would have gotten figured out the same way he already was on. But that happened to be number 6, 7, 8, whatever idea, and that's the one that went. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, like that's the issue to me. You know what I'm saying?
And
that's
it's the addiction too, bro.
Like,
look at the way he's moving right now. It's like you would think after somebody beat all the odds, essentially got out of there, you know what I'm saying, scot-free, you have some money in your pocket, why not go away and just like enjoy the rest of your life? But the fact that the way he's moving, just as he was before, maybe even worse now, there's
Attention
also
is
like,
addictive.
yeah, there's this addiction that he has. Like he's addicted to that life. You know what I'm saying? Like he couldn't wait to be able to go back outside and do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that right there, that's not normal. You know,
that's because he's been disenfranchised. His image, his character is now in question with more proof. You know what I'm saying? And I pray for him. You know what I'm saying? I really do. I pray for him because it's like that's not an easy place to be at.
Right.
Like you got this everything we're talking about. Everything we're talking about. Putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. What leads somebody to make these types of decisions? What leads somebody to threaten somebody's life? What leads somebody to like, you know what I'm saying? Like have to challenge. What leads somebody to like have the underdog mentality? How much hate the 6ix9ine, like have any of us ever received the amount of DMs and hate messages and threats from the industry, from artists, from individuals on the street at 6ix9ine? Right. Granted, Cali brought a lot of that on himself through his decisions, but nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like
that's how bad he viewed his other life, that he's willing to take all of that on.
I'm gonna go all the way, and he says
like that's crazy, bro. But that's like you're inviting all of this energy. That's how bad he views his other life, man. That's scary.
But you're surviving, and that's the thing. You're the same thing. This is like the Survivor Evolution episode. Like you're surviving. He found a way to survive. He found a way to like, yo, like I'm sleeping on the floor in my mom's crib, like, and my girl's pregnant. Like I'm working at the deli. Like I know the deli. You know what I'm saying? I'm working at the deli. Like what do I do? You know what I'm saying? Like what the fuck do I do? Like, and it's like it's a bigger issue than I can like solve on a podcast episode. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's something that I'm very passionate about informing. You know what I mean? Because everybody's news was since. Clown, fake blood, okay. It's like, yo, wait. Like, why did this even become a successful method to survive? What exists? What industry exists for this to be the clear-cut way out? And you have so many people falling in line. And they may be cut from a real cloth. You know what I'm saying? They may be tied to the street and bred in it way more, the way before and after, but the industry, the music industry, entertainment, the tabloids, everybody is still eating it up. And for me, when I look at it, even when I sing some of the songs or enjoy it, it's still kind of from like I'm smart enough to know the source more now. I'm smart enough to know, like, so it's like, I look at it as my responsibility and my art and my music, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying every day I'm going to sound like Louis Farrakhan when I jump on the mic, but like, when it's time to step up and like a song like Gratitude is Gangsta, like giving thanks for life, like being aware of your position, being aware of life, because through that is birth, you know what I'm saying? More. Through that is birth. Let me make somebody else grateful for their life. Let me make somebody else grateful for their day. Let me keep making decisions where like happiness can fill my life, not pressure, and not like, you know what I'm saying? Like not like feelings like I might be killed or something like that. Like, so man, it's just, that's just where I'm at in my life. Like that song to me is like tough love for real. Cause it's more than that. It's more than 6ix9ine. It's more than, you know what I'm saying? Like the forgiving of killers, you know what I'm saying? But it is part of it, you know what I'm saying? Cause it's the tough shit, you know?
I mean, you talk about what you referenced earlier when we started 444, but why is it that Jay is still respected after all these years? Because everything, I watched an interview with him before, he was talking, you can't chase trends, you know what I'm saying? And you have to just stick to who you are, and there will always be people who fuck with it because it's coming from a genuine place, so it means other people are also going to be feeling that. And it's the same thing, like Jay told stories of selling drugs, but if you follow the evolution of his career, what makes him a great artist is you see the growth of a human being. You know what I'm saying? And somebody unafraid to express that growth and unafraid to acknowledge that they are demanding more of themselves the later they get in life and the more they accomplish, and that they're not just going to allow themselves to be one thing. And that's like the beauty of it all. You know what I'm saying? We can sit there and watch that story unfold and recognize like that's real success. That's real victory right there when this person like continues to stay true to themselves and speak about what's actually happening, can still be wildly successful as well. You know, that's kind of like what the goal should be, you know what I'm saying? Instead of this sort of short-term social media clout chasing that ends up happening just for a quick, you know, viral moment.
Yeah, and that's true. And it's kind of, and I look at it as like, it's like you said, like not speaking about things on a general surface, on a surface level type situation. Like, yo, if I'm gonna go there and if I'm gonna talk about shit, like, let me talk. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna go there and let me be specific. You know, when it's time, let me really be specific. Let me mention incidents. Let me mention like it's like even in that song, the same shit, like, 5% teachers, Jewish brothers, Boricua, like, it's like, wait, I'm raised by the community. I'm raised by everybody. Everybody has a part to do with this. It's kind of like in those instances. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but like you're working with somebody, right, and they hit you with the we when the win happens, but they hit you with the you when the loss happens. And it's like, no. Like, if we're in this together and it works, don't blame me. I'm not gonna blame you. We won together or we lost together. You know what I'm saying? And that was like the point of like mentioning. It's like, no. This is a community. This is the result of the community somehow. You know what I'm saying? Like all of us are responsible for the good that comes out and for the bad that comes out, because somewhere you paid attention and did something corrective, whether it worked or not. In some ways, you let it slide and you kept it moving and you didn't change. You ignored it the same way. You didn't have love towards the situation. You know what I'm saying? So like, and there's more than I do in real life and in regular conversations than I'll ever do in my music. You know what I'm saying? But people I speak to with incidents that I'm in, you know what I mean, and how I carry myself. But I've learned, like, if I'm going to be an agent for good and if I'm going to be an agent for like something, some speck of like positivity in this world, like I got to mean what I say when I walk. You know what I mean? Not just when I rap. So,
I mean, it's looking at things as a whole. It's kind of this like the general thing we've been talking about, like looking at the system. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we can look at this is a very drastic example, but we can look at like a school shooter and be like, damn, that kid was really messed up. But the reality is it's happened multiple times. So what is the system that is failing to, that is not catching kids who have this sort of mindset early on? You know what I'm saying? Like, what parenting attributes aren't happening in that household? What counseling is not being had in those schools to recognize this kid needs some sort of help before he gets to that point?
Ignored. Everybody always sees it after it happens. It all makes sense because peripheral vision, hindsight vision is always 20/20, and it's like, how do we catch that before they manifest into very drastic decisions?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and we as individual members, I don't expect it from politicians. I don't put so much pressure on teachers. I don't put it all on the parents. I look at the best friends, the grocery, the store clerk, the taxi driver, the retail associate, and all of us have a responsility, because it's like sometimes you smile at people when you just see and they'll say it like, yo, this stranger smiled at me, I feel good now. Like, I was having a shitty day, somebody complimented my sneakers, like I was already in a downward spiral. Like, we all are participants in like the state of the world. It's like they say, the world is what all of us have decided to be. Like, we've all made the decision of what the world looks like right now. So if we want something to change, we all have to do something about it, not just the people we put in positions of power and now we lazily sit back and critique it accordingly. Like,
absolutely. But if you're mad at what you're seeing, you have to look at the system that created it. At the end of
the day,
do something. That's what it is. Do something,
and you part of it, and you're part of it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you said, like, if you're looking at it and you're like, yo, like, Dramos does not want to speak surface level in politics anymore because you have an opinion. You have something that you want to come across. And when you speak to somebody who is, quote unquote, in that position of power, like, you want to educate yourself so that your point can come across, so that your influence can come through, so that you've done your part. You don't want to just speak about a surface level and then that person just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, I get that. I get, you know what I mean? So I'm with you, man. And yeah.
Well, good shit, my dude. This is a good welcome back episode. We just riffed on all this shit. Actually, that's been on our minds, on our hearts for the last few weeks since we've been off. But
man, I'm excited though. I'm optimistic for the future. You know what I'm saying? I'm optimistic for the future. I know for me as an artist, like, I feel like I'm evolving. I'm becoming like who I've always wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like all of the decisions that I've been making, like, just even in this podcast and what we can speak about, what we're at liberty to like just like talk about, I think is it nourishes me,
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, it's gonna attract all the things that are supposed to be coming to you. You know what I'm saying? So when you're going at it from a point of doing what is your heart is telling you to do, what you're feeling, you're gonna end up throwing yourself into a position that puts you around more like-minded people and opportunities that align with what it is that is being spoken to you right now and what's speaking to your heart.
Yeah, man.
Whew, my dude, I appreciate you. Record's out right now, right?
Gratitude is Gangsta's out right now. Synonyms of Strength EP coming at the end of this month. I'm not fucking playing. You know what I mean? I got something to say, so that's what I'm doing.
I love it, my dude. Well, yeah, we're gonna get back on doing this shit consistently every week now. After
No, for sure.
a little
love to
well-needed
everybody
break.
who made it to this point too. You know what I'm saying? Like if you sat with us just now, like that means you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what. So love to you too, man. Like, we first generation talks, man. Like this ain't no game. Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, Dramos Radamiz, we're doing it. First generation talks.
God bless.